G'day everybody, welcome back. Sunday morning, chance to have a bit of a walk around, just doing a couple of water drops. So I thought I'd walk you through what we're going to do with this thing, which is busted, and show you a couple of the other old tractors because, you know, I've got time. Okay, so Herbie's International A414. He's got 41.4 horsepower, and at the moment they're all dead. So for a little while now, he's been using a little bit of water, not a lot, but enough to, you know, keep an eye on. And then over the last couple of days, he started to spit black wet shit out of the exhaust pipe. And then yesterday, between the head and the block under glow plug number 2, he started to squirt a little bit of water out. So we've pulled him off the live line. He's on the dead line, and I'm going to take him back into town to fix. So to do a head on an A414 is pretty simple. It's just take all the peripheral shit off, undo all the bolts, pop the head off, put a new head gasket on, away you go. I probably won't even take the injectors, the inlet manifold, the fuel filter. I'll just lift the whole show off in one go. I'll have to take the bonnet off just to make it a bit easier, which could be fun, could not be, I don't know, we'll find out. And go from there. And you can see here this morning he shot water out of here, so there's plenty of water going in the wrong spots. So the head holds no fear. Few things I might find along the way might scare me some more, but we'll deal with them. The other job I have to do is change out this steering column. So the sport steering wheel is starting to fail, and as you can see, there's a lot of turny and not much action. Now to do that is a bit of a pain in the ass, because you have to take the tank off, you have to take the battery tray out, you have to undo all the bolts, you have to get the ball joint off, and which will probably happen up there, and you have to do all this other stuff. So that job's going to happen. I need to find a new seat because this seat is shagged. A414 seats. I haven't seen one on eBay very often. And I also have a rollover frame, so a ROPS frame, that's coming off the John Deere and going on this. And their website says it'll go on the A414 with a handbrake on the mudguard. And to tell you the truth, I'm not actually convinced of that yet. So I've still got to cut it off the John Deere, and I can't cut it off the John Deere while the weather is this hot. And then I'm also going to try and do a bit of work on maybe some slop in the arms. So that's Herbie. Let's go and have a look at the next one, which just so happens to be down here. So this is a Massey Ferguson 40 loader backhoe beast. Cost me $2,000, wasn't working. Put a water pump in it, put a battery in it, put fuel in it, and it worked. I did replace the seat. That's a seat out of a 1996 Mitsubishi Talika, and that's a seat from a schoolhouse somewhere in Australia. This thing's an animal. It's got a 3-cylinder Perkins. It starts, it stops, it runs. I've had to do a fuel pump, and I put a lot of steering fluid in. It's got really heavy steering, but it leaks a bit, and it uses a bit of hydraulic oil because I've got some seals that need fixing. It's the least amount of stress in my life. It's a bit wild when you're sitting up on top having a crack, but if we get some rain, this thing's going back to work and I'll get some footage. Very happy with this tractor, or loader, backhoe, tractor, Massey thing, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have a name. That's Trevor. Trevor's the tractor. He's an International B275, and I'll talk about him another day when it's quieter. He's got no brakes. That's his biggest problem. So the other two working tractors in the fleet are Gonzo, which is a Fiat 411 RB, and he cost me $500 and came in about 72 pieces plus some bolts and shit. Petrol, Italian, 24 volt, and all in all, it's a pretty bloody good tractor. We had some issues getting the head gasket on and sealing when we first got him. Very hard to get parts for. Very unusual shift pattern, or unusual for me. But it comes with a nice seat. We had to use a rubber mallet and make it fit for a new spring because you couldn't get one. And he has been running the slasher, which is over here. But we hit a rock the other day with the slasher, and rocks and slashers don't mix. And I've busted, you can't see it, I've busted the main support, but I'm thinking I might be able to put a piece of angle across here, piss this cover off, weld it on and see how it goes. I really need this slasher back. I do have another one to pick up, but I don't know what it needs doing to it. In the short term, we've put the hoe on the back of the Fiat, and it still needs a bit of fine tuning. I've got to get this thing, get the height right and make sure it's level and all that sort of stuff, but it'll run it, and I can run it at engine RPM, not gearbox RPM, which is a bonus because the faster it goes the better. I do have a few blades to replace. So, and the fifth tractor that I have that runs is a TEA20. Everyone's got a grey Fergie. If you don't have a grey Fergie, get yourself a grey Fergie. I bought one with one eye, so his name is Frankenfergie, and I bought it off a local person who was happy to see it used. I did add a ROPS. I've added a ROPS to all my tractors so far, safety first. It's running okay. These things have very temperamental carbies, or they do in my book, and it's got an adjustment here, here, and around here, and I can get it to idle, and then it'll surge, and then when it gets warm it'll run fine, but it won't idle. So we're still working it out. I have the ripper on it currently. It's a single stage clutch, so I'm not putting any rotary powered equipment on it, simply because it's just too hard to control. But it also has some issues around back end control. I'm thinking I'll put a carry-all, so like a platform on the back, and just use it to transport the mower around and stuff like that, or the log splitter, or don't know. They're only about 6 horsepower when they're new, and yeah, I've got one though. Have you got one? If you don't have one, get one. So yeah, so that's Gonzo, Frank and Fergie. Trevor's behind the bush, and the other two are over there. So why does a fella need so many tractors? Well, I don't like changing implements because of safety. I've hurt myself a couple of times moving things, changing things, and I just went, you know what? Trevor was $1,000, Herbie was $2,000, the loader was $2,000, Frank and Fergie was $3,000 with a slasher and another slasher which I've got to pick up, and Gonzo was $500, and it's time and fixing and blah blah blah. I also bought a John Deere 2010 because I was foolish and didn't do a bit of research. It lasted about 4 hours in the paddock and spun a bearing, and is now parked over there. I have sold that. The starter motor's worth a fortune, so I sold it for a starter motor, and they can take the whole bloody thing except the ROPS, which is going on one of those over there. I do have another tractor coming. I've got a International AW7, and I'm going to be putting a stick rake blade on the front and the big slasher on the back, and using that for land prep. My problem is it weighs 8,600 pounds without the blade on the front and the slasher on the back, so I've got to find a tilt tray driver to bring it to me from where it is. And I also have a second tractor for spare parts and a second engine, and there's a third tractor which has got the blade on the front over there that I'm going to see if I can buy that too, because you can never have enough. And then I want more, and I'll have another one, and I'll just keep buying tractors. So anyway, it's going to be 100 Fahrenheit in the paddock again today. It's a bit overcast, which is nice. So I'm going to go and do a bit of mowing and a bit of walking and, tidy up some stuff. So that's just a casual walk around the tractors for the morning. You have a safe day. If you don't have a grey Fergie and you've got space on your driveway, get on eBay and go buy one, or Facebook, buy, swap and sell. Fantastic resource for buying tractors. Who'd have thunk it? Anyway, gotta go. Be good.